welcome. For this practice, I invite you to grab a yoga bolster if you have one. If you don't have one, just a couple of firm pillows, just something to give you a little extra support today. We're gonna be stretching and holding shapes for a little bit longer, so just something to help you just feel a little bit more supported in the practice. And then for today's practice, it is a full moon, a little bit of movement, a little bit of meditation at the end, but you can use this practice whenever you are needing to release something or let go, maybe just some stress at the end of a long day. Doesn't really matter. Whatever you set your intention on is what your practice will be. So wherever you're at, go ahead and join me. We're gonna be seated for probably most of practice, or we're gonna be on the floor for most of practice. So if you have a yoga mat to give you a little extra padding, I invite you to grab that. And wherever you're at, I'm gonna set this out of the way just for a moment. So wherever you're at, go ahead and take a seat. And actually for today's practice, we're going to start, if it feels okay for you, we're gonna start with the legs outstretched to the sides here. So go ahead and whenever you arrive, try to kind of feel your sit bones nice and firm on the floor underneath you. And then maybe we're gonna start right away in some movement. So go ahead and inhale. You can straighten your spine here, and then maybe on your exhale, start to fold forward. And then inhale back to a seat. Exhale, fold over. We're gonna take this a few more rounds at your own pace. The goal in the start of this practice is just to sort of get a little bit of energy, a little bit of movement going here. So just kind of noticing how the body is feeling. If straightening the legs doesn't feel good, maybe you can bend the knees, take a forward fold that way. Just kind of notice what you need here. So the invitation is really about just getting some energy going here. So maybe it feels better to do some seated cat-cows. Maybe you inhale to arch the back and exhale to round through your spine here. Whatever feels good, whatever feels intuitive to your body here, take it. We'll take about 2 or 3 more rounds of breath here. Again, just getting some energy moving and flowing in your body. Now wherever you're at, go ahead. If your feet are not already together in a butterfly shape, I invite you to take that. So the bottoms of your feet are going to just touch here. And then option, you can wrap your hands around the outsides of your feet. And let's just start to find some natural movement here. So maybe you start to rock side to side. Always the option to close your eyes in these practices. Maybe take some big sighs here, just kind of whatever your body feels like it needs. And then maybe you start to take some upper body circles. And for you today, maybe you need to take this movement a little bit slower than I am, or maybe you need to take it a little bit faster. So just kind of check in, tune in to what your body needs here. For me, I'm feeling a little bit more energized. I feel like I'm needing to release a little bit more energy just to start. Maybe 2 or 3 more rounds of breath wherever you're at here. Again, just finding some movement that suits you. And then we're gonna come to a place of stillness. Just kind of take whatever seat feels most comfortable for you. And we're gonna get into the neck a little bit more. So go ahead and let your right ear drop towards your right shoulder. Maybe you place your right hand over top of your head just to apply a little bit more pressure for a stretch here. And can you let that left shoulder be nice and heavy? So you're not crunching it up towards your left ear. You're letting it be nice and heavy here. Really breathe into this stretch that you feel in the left side of your neck. Notice that opening, notice that release here. Option to stay here for a little bit longer if it just feels really nice. You can always pause the video at any time, But if you're ready to take it to the other side, gently release your hand if you have it there, and then let your chin fall towards your chest really slowly. Bring your left ear this time to your left shoulder. Again, try to keep that right shoulder down nice and heavy. Maybe you bring that left hand this time, giving yourself a little bit of pressure here. For me, it feels really good to have this stretch in my neck. Feels really releasing. So just kind of notice any sensations that come up in your body here as we're moving, as we're stretching. And then again, remove that hand if it's there, and then let your chin fall back towards your chest. Maybe take a couple of half circles or some full circles in your neck, depending on what you need here. 2 or 3 more rounds of breath wherever you're at here. Always the option to sigh it out here if you feel like you just need to release a little bit more energy. Awesome. Alrighty, we're gonna get a little bit more into our hips. So make sure you have just anything that feels supported. Some yoga blocks, a yoga bolster, a couple of firm pillows. I'm going to set that here for now just so that I can grab it when I need it. We're gonna land in tabletop. So when you're ready, go ahead and meet me in your tabletop shape. And just start to let your hips sway side to side here. Option, again, take whatever movement you need here. For me, it feels really good to move my neck around as well. Maybe take some hip circles. Again, the goal here is to build some movement in the body so that you can release any energy that may have been stored there that you no longer need, you no longer want. A full moon practice is all about release, like I said earlier. And the full moon always hits about towards the end of the month. It's a great way to just release any stressors, any things that have happened during that month. Couple more rounds of breath with whatever movement you're deciding to take here. Maybe you take some cat-cows. Alrighty. So when you're ready, go ahead and grab that bolster, whatever support you have. And for me, we're gonna move into the hips a little bit more. So for me, what feels easiest to get into this shape is to bring my right leg forward. We're gonna start with the right leg forward. We're gonna move into a pigeon variation here. So you're gonna start to bend through that right knee. Let your hips settle in here. So this is option number 1, taking a pigeon. If this feels way too tight, like you're like, I can't hold this for more than a few seconds, always an option. 2, sit on top of your bolster or your stack of pillows, and you can always bring that right leg over top. So it's easiest to start seated, and then you still have that same shape going with that right leg. You bend through that right knee, and maybe this is as far as you go. Maybe you can let that left leg swing back behind. So this is doing the same thing. It's just sort of accommodating to where you're at with your hips here. So don't ever feel like there's only one option to meet me in a shape. There's so many different variations, which is what makes this practice so cool. Okay, so as you are settling in here, maybe you want to stay here, or maybe you take it a step further and bring that left knee to maybe a 90-ish degree here. So you're kind of getting everywhere here, really opening up those hips, creating a nice release in the body, whatever variation you're taking here. And you can stay up on forearms like me, or you can settle in just a little bit more. Maybe you want to rest your head down. This actually feels kind of comfortable, so I may stay here. So just kind of check in with yourself. Just kind of notice, what do you need more of or less of here? You may need to get into a deeper stretch here. So always the option to ditch your prop and move all the way down to the floor here. So again, it's just dependent on what your body needs today. And you do not have to stay here in stillness. Maybe you want to continue giving yourself some neck stretches. Maybe you want to let your head and neck completely go here. We've got about a minute or so left here. So if you're really starting to feel that tension, I invite you to release it with your exhales. I say this all the time. I feel like I get really repetitive, but anytime we hold a stretch in our yoga practice, if you're really feeling that tension, focusing on your exhales is super, super helpful in getting a little bit deeper into that stretch, but also not focusing so much on, oh my goodness, it feels so tense. It allows you to kind of ease into that stretch a little bit more. Maybe you picture yourself with each breath releasing any stress, any heaviness, anything that's been weighing you down. Maybe about 3 more rounds of breath or so, wherever you're at here. And then at your own pace, again, if you like to stay here longer, you can pause the video. But if you're ready at your own pace, I invite you to start to sit all the way up. And whatever variation you're taking here, we're all gonna meet directly on the floor with those legs straight out in front of you. Oh, my mat's moving around. Alrighty. So go ahead and straighten your legs in front of you. Maybe point and flex through those feet. Maybe kind of move your legs around. You can even sort of shake your legs out, kind of release some of that tension, some of that energy. Again, option to sigh those breaths out. Really let yourself let go of anything that you're holding here. And then when you're ready, we're gonna take it to the other side. So for me, you can start from tabletop and get back into that shape, or however you got into the shape before, whatever's easiest. Feel free to take that. I'm just going to switch my legs around here. And I'm gonna take the same variation that I did on the other side. So if you're able to, I invite you to take that same variation on the other side and then just kind of adjust, modify as you need to, because it is super normal for one side to feel a lot tighter or maybe a lot more flexible than the other side. So just kind of modify however you feel like you need to modify here, just to try to meet yourself in a similar feeling, a similar sensation as you did on the other side. So maybe that means that you need to take this stretch a little bit deeper, which in fact I feel like I do. So I'm gonna ditch my my bolster. So maybe you take it deeper like me, or maybe you need to pull back a little bit, give yourself a little extra support, maybe a little bit more support than you needed on the other side. And that's okay. There's no right or wrong in this practice. And there's no judgment in this practice either. You are showing up exactly as you are and exactly as you are able. And some days it's a lot easier to show up. Some days it's a lot harder. So I invite you to give yourself grace wherever you're at today, whatever you're feeling, whatever sensations are happening in your body. And again, for these last few rounds of breath that we're settling into this stretch, into this shape, can you release any expectations, any judgments, any criticisms that you have of yourself? Maybe your intention was on something specific to release. Maybe there's something that's been weighing on you, an anxiety. And I'm telling myself that too. I tend to really focus in and hone in on very small moments in my life that I feel like I didn't do good enough, or maybe I felt stupid for showing up in a certain way. And those things tend to really, really settle into my body. And so for movement and practices like this, for me, I have to hone in on, okay, I'm not judging myself, and it's okay that I didn't show up perfectly for that thing. It's okay that maybe people had a certain perception of me. I can't change that. I can't control that. I have to let that go and release that in my own personal practice. So just notice what that thing is for you. Let's take about 2 or 3 more rounds of breath here, wherever you're at, releasing, letting go, accepting the things that you can't control, because there's a lot of freaking stuff that we can't control, and that's okay. Again, at your own pace, whenever you are ready, I invite you to join me back in a seat. Let's go ahead and straighten those legs one last time. I'm gonna turn to face you here. Last option to get any movement out here. Shake those legs out, shake those arms out. Any other last stretches do you feel like your body needs? And go ahead and meet me in whatever seat feels most comfortable. We've got just a little bit of time left together. And we're really gonna settle into going inside, noticing how we feel. So I invite you, if it feels okay, if it feels comfortable, close your eyes here. And maybe rest those palms face down on the tops of your legs, or whatever feels most natural. Maybe it feels better to bring the palms of your hands together at heart center. Maybe you need to rest your palms on your chest, on your heart space. For me, that feels the most natural today. So that's where I'm gonna land my hands. You land yours just wherever you need to. And as you settle into this seat, notice anything that came up during this practice for you. Maybe you notice where your thoughts were wandering. Notice any anxieties, any stressors, any heaviness that came up or that you've been feeling. Maybe that you were able to release just a little bit. And again, I really encourage you to bring a sense of non-judgment to yourself. It is important to set expectations and set intentions for where you want your life to go and how you want to grow. But that also needs to come with just not judging when you do feel like you're falling behind, or when you do feel like you weren't able to show up as your best self. We always want to strive for that, but we're not always going to meet that. We're not perfect. We never have been. We never will be. I wish I could be perfect. I never will be, but I strive every day to grow and be better and do better. And I also try as much as I can to give myself grace in that. So I'm also extending that grace to you. And whatever your struggles are, whatever you're facing right now in your life, as we wrap up practice together, I invite you to bring to mind that thing or those things that you would like to release. Maybe it's a story, a belief about yourself, about your life. Maybe it's a feeling. Maybe it's an experience that happened recently. Maybe it's just the feeling of, I can't control what's happening in my life right now, and I need to release the things that I can't control. Whatever that is, notice that thing, those things that you would like to release, let go of. And we're gonna take 5 rounds of breath together, inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the mouth. And on that exhale, you're gonna release all of that. So whenever you're ready, bring awareness back to your breath. And let's go ahead and inhale through your nose. Exhale through your mouth, let it go. 4 more, inhale. Exhale, release. Inhale. Exhale, release. Inhale. Exhale, release. Inhale here. Exhale, release, let that go. You are welcome to take a few more inhales and exhales to continue releasing whatever it is that you need here. I am going to wrap up my portion of practice with you. And thank you so much for being here, for showing up for yourself and your healing. And I hope that you continue to do it, especially when it's really, really hard to do. This practice is the most beneficial when we least feel like doing it. Because when you're able to show up and do something despite not feeling like doing it, despite how hard and how heavy things are, that's when you're going to see the most benefit out of this practice. And that's when that true healing happens. So again, thank you for being here. Thank you for showing up for yourself. And I hope to see you next time. If this video was helpful for you, I invite you to join me for live trauma-informed yoga classes, both online and locally at the Iris Embodiment Center. And as always, thank you so much for being here.